I really hope you enjoyed this video because I think this technique is just a great technique to put into your repertoire. Welcome to a new Kendo Tips video. My name is Jose, I'm a John in Kendo, and today we're going to do an Ippon approach from Yasuki Maeda from Osaka. Because these videos are not just about the Ippon, it's about also what made the Ippon successful. I'm also going to break down some aspects of Maeda and Ando that I think are very good. Even though it wasn't successful Ippon at that point, I think there's a little elements that we can start taking into our Kendo and improving our Kendo. A lot of the things that I'm going to be sharing in this video are opinion, and things that I see or that I notice. So if you see something different, if you have a different opinion, please let me know in the comments below, because I really want to know your opinion. And if you have a suggestion for any other videos that you want me to break down or study, or put them in the comments below. Before I keep going with the video though, I'm going to tell you, please consider subscribing to the channel. Doing streamings on Sundays at 3:30 p.m. is a great opportunity for you to pass by, share your thoughts, give your opinions, watch some Kendo live, and we can talk about Kendo. I'm doing them through Twitch and YouTube. You can choose whichever you feel more comfortable with. Please let me know though. I chose a video with Ando and Maeda. This is from the All Japan Kendo Championship. This is actually from the 67th All Japan Kendo Championships on the quarterfinals. And so yeah, let me show you what I have going on for today. By the way, Maeda is on red, Ando is on white. The first thing I want to show you is, I think, a very good demonstration of small footwork. Look at how he approaches Maeda, and look specifically at the left foot, how he's always going back and anchoring itself to put pressure and to push forward. Now let's break it down a little bit in slower motion. At the beginning, he starts by pushing with a little bit of a longer step, and maybe he was a little bit spraying his legs to come in and to apply pressure to Maeda. But look what the left foot does. Immediately after he's into a position where the right foot is touching ground, he's using it to pull himself forward, and the left foot immediately kicks forward, and kicks forward to get ready to put pressure again, to always keep that pressure. If he were to do longer steps where the left leg has to travel longer, at that point he's going to take too much time and he could have an opening. Also, it's not going to allow him to immediately push forward for a waza. At that point, especially because he's getting so close to Maeda, it's becoming very, very important to have the foot engaged and ready to go in case there's an opening. He has to come in and take an Ippon. I see a lot of the times people trying to do seme and trying to come in closer to an opponent, but they end up, one, spraying the legs too far, and then the left leg has to travel that big of a distance. Or a lot of times they take a step too deep and they kind of don't have that readiness on the left foot to keep pushing forward just because they're taking longer steps. Or even worse, they just take a longer step, taking too much time, and the opponent takes that moment to kind of come in and take an Ippon for them. So a lot of these things I think can be avoided if we learn how to do sharper and quicker and smoother short footwork, and then also transitioning to different types of footwork in order to get ourselves out of uncomfortable situations, but also put ourselves in favorable situations to take an Ippon. But let's watch the main Ippon that I want to share with you. There's slow motion different angles, which I love about this video. I think this is just an amazing technique, and it's something that can catch a lot of people by surprise. But let's break it down for a second. Let's go from this angle first. Okay, so let's break it down in slow motion. What's happening here? Maeda puts pressure forward. Ando replies with pressure as well, right? But Maeda manages to, as he starts to move forward, go under his shinai and taking control around and over the shinai. Almost, I guess, will be makiotoshi, right? Because like he's kind of going around and on top of the shinai, bringing the shinai down, getting it out of the center. And now it's very crucial how he's doing it as he's closing the distance. A lot of people, when I see this happening, when they miss it, is that they try to get the shinai out of the way before they go in. It almost looks like he's doing two techniques because of the footwork. Almost though, because the left foot, look at the left foot, still anchored. Always pushing forward, keeping that pressure forward. At this point, the right foot barely makes contact, and that gives that timing to break down from one technique to the next one. Now, at that point, he takes advantage that he had completed the center and pushes forward to get that man. Now, mechanically, one thing that I want to make sure that I point out, it's his use of the left hand. Start from this position, from this moment. The left hand, he's using it to go under and around. The right arm and the right hand are almost staying static. He uses the left hand and tenouchi to bring the sword down in a very snapped and powerful way. On top of that, he uses the left hand. At this point, he has a little bit of extension in the right arm to kind of keep the guidance of the shinai and to keep the ando shinais down. But immediately he starts using the left hand to kind of push, to bring the tip up and back to the center. Very compact. And then at this point, he starts using the left hand to pull and create power to hit that man and get the ippon. Now, last thing that I want to make sure that I point out and I don't forget is, like, look at where the right foot ends. Right when he does the makiotoshi, right? It's at this point. And then look at where the right foot ends at the moment of impact. The distance is very small, and this technique, especially because Ando is coming towards him, distance is key. Now let's watch from a different angle. Right here, you see the pressure starts coming in from both of them. Maeda kind of uses also his upper body to make Ando come in. Now, as soon as he commits, not before, he takes the shinai out of the center and immediately uses the left hand to bring the shinai back into the center, create power, and hit the man. I think this is a great technique to have in your repertoire. It is definitely a technique that's gonna catch a lot of people by surprise, but it's a technique that I feel that if you're not confident, if you don't have the right motions, the right practice, it can be very, very difficult to execute, especially if you don't have the mechanics down on how to execute that, how to create power with such small motions. So one of the biggest things I have to say that for this technique, you're gonna need good tenouchi, the left and the right hand, in order to create power and be sharp and fast. The key points of this technique, it's timing, the distance, and just overall your own technique and how you have the confidence to execute it and the power to execute it. A lot of the questions that start going back to my head is how to close the distance, how to apply seme, how to make openings for myself, and how to start controlling my opponent. And I was doing a little bit of research on that, watching videos and so on, and I found this specific video that I thought it was great. I do recommend you to practice small footwork, good tenouchi, and practice just breaking down the techniques, being patient on the two sections, the makiotoshi and then the man. There's many different ways to execute it. As a matter of fact, there's somebody else that has, I think, that this technique down on lock. That's a video that I got a recommendation to make that I'll make it. I'll make it. So stay tuned for that. But nonetheless, I think this is a great technique to study and it's a great technique to practice. I'm going to say that the biggest reason why this technique worked in this case was because Maeda was able to get on top of the shinai over Ando, and then Ando tried to fight back on the same angle. If you watch right here, Ando tries to get back through the same angle and put force against it. At that point, I think that the best response to that would have been to maybe go under and retake the center. And that technique, I think, works a lot with people that try to fight that way for the center. So that being said, this is not a technique that's gonna work all the time. And if someone is prepared for it, if someone is ready, and someone have a different reaction, again, you're gonna get punished. One last thing about this technique is that this technique is almost like two techniques in one. Depending on your opponent, you can execute it fluidly as one, or you might need to break it down. I think this is something that obviously you're gonna benefit by practicing with different people, different heights, and just different responses from people. But nonetheless, I think this is something that needs to be practiced a lot. It's not an easy technique. This is not a beginner technique, and it's also not a trick. But it's something that is going to need a lot of practice to put in your repertoire. If you have a different opinion, different thoughts on this technique or something, please leave it in the comments below. I'm always welcoming. I want to learn more. That's the reason why I'm sharing this video. So I hope you learned something. I hope I'm making this video useful for you. If they are, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also pass by the streams Sundays at 3:30 p.m. Twitch or YouTube. You guys have a good one. Stay safe. Catch you in the next one.